Not all abandoned girls need to be redeemed by a devoted second male lead. When I heard Jason Ross say, "The thought of Victoria Reed having so much blood on her hands makes me feel sickened. I know he has a crush on the new female intern in the company." I calmly handed over the divorce agreement, because he is not the only one in my life. But later Jason went crazy because he couldn't find me. 1. I'm a little tired today and not in the mood. Jason pulled my hand down and turned his back to me. Today is my ovulation period, and it is also the day we plan to have a baby, but now he rejects me. Perhaps feeling that his actions were a bit too much, Jason turned around and hugged me in his arms, kissing my forehead. "Good boy, go to sleep." Feeling the man's even breathing, I knew something was wrong between us. So the next day, I left work early at the hospital and booked a romantic candlelight dinner to give Jason a surprise. But before entering the door, I heard his conversation with his good brother Ryan. I really loved Victoria before. I was fascinated by her every time I saw her. But now when I think about how much blood her hands have touched, I feel disgusted. "I'm just tired of it," Ryan said casually. Jason didn't deny it. "So you touched that secretary? Her name is Samantha Price, right?" This time Jason didn't say anything and was silent for a long time. "No way. Are you serious?" Jason said calmly. "Almost. I advise you to hold back. Your brothers all saw how much you loved Victoria. You were willing to sacrifice your life for her. Don't go too far and get yourself killed. No one can help you if you chase your wife to the crematorium." Jason seemed to sneer. "A woman's 10 years of youth, do you think she is willing to give it up?" 2. Jason's words chilled me to the bone, as if I were falling into an ice cellar. Thinking back to his repeated rejections these days, it turns out that I'm not really tired, I just feel nauseous. These 2 words pierced my heart like needles, and it hurt so much that I couldn't breathe. He knew how precious a woman's 10 years of youth were, but I used it as a bargaining chip to hurt me. I have an impression of the name Samantha. She was a new intern recruited by Jason's company. I still remember the admiration that Jason couldn't hide in his eyes when he mentioned her for the first time. He told me that Samantha lost out to other candidates in the interview, but the girl refused to give up and kept begging the interviewer to give her another chance, and even almost knelt down crying. This kind of perseverance is a spirit that many young people today do not have. In the end, Jason felt sorry for her and eliminated the better candidates and admitted her as an exception. I couldn't help but frown after hearing this. Isn't this moral kidnapping? Interviews are judged on ability, not on pity. Doing this is unfair to other interviewees. Jason rarely looked at me with a scowl. "How can you be so cold-blooded as a doctor? You don't have any sympathy at all? It's my fault for protecting you too well before." I didn't doubt myself because of his accusations and continued to argue with him. Because of this incident, we had a cold war for the whole night. Later, Jason came to coax me in a humble manner and we made peace. But I still remember the name. Unexpectedly, she has become Jason's personal secretary now. It was also from that time that Jason stopped sharing company matters with me. Everyone has the desire to share. If they don't share with you, then they are sharing with others. It turns out that all changes have traces to follow. 3. At night, I lay down early and felt the mattress sag behind me. The man's cold hands wrapped around my waist. I resisted the urge to gag and grab Jason's hand as it was about to slip under my clothes. The voice was cold. "I feel uncomfortable." Jason paused. I could sense that he was getting excited, and it would be uncomfortable if I forced myself to hold it back. But he didn't force me after all. He considerately covered me with the quilt and went to the bathroom to do it himself. I also brought my cell phone in, since when Jason has to take his cell phone with him every time he goes to the bathroom. After a while, I received a friend request on my phone, and the profile picture was Samantha. Taking a deep breath, I went through with the request. Soon a screenshot was sent. It was the chat history between her and Jason, and the time showed that Jason had just entered the bathroom. Samantha sent Jason a hotel name and room number. "Tell him, I don't ask you to divorce, I just want to give my first time to the man I love the most. If you don't come, I'll just find a random man. It's not you anyway, so it doesn't matter to me. Don't regret it." Jason only replied with 2 words. "Wait for me." Just after I finished watching it, Jason came out of the bathroom. Wife, something happened at the company and I need to take care of it. He used to use this excuse to go out in the middle of the night, and because I trusted him, I never questioned him. Now that I think about it, was it every time just to see Samantha? I'll go with you. Jason was stunned for a moment, then smiled gently and touched my head. Aren't you feeling unwell? Stop it. I'll feel bad if you hurt yourself. Don't worry, I'll be back soon. After saying that, he ignored me and turned and walked out. I drove quietly behind him. Jason drove very fast and I almost lost him several times. Samantha was waiting for him at the hotel entrance. The two hugged and kissed each other as soon as they met, like a lover who has been patient for a long time. 4. Restraining the bitterness in my heart, I took out my phone to take a picture. I even recorded a video of more than 10 seconds. I watched the two of them walk into the hotel. After calming down for a while in the car, I called my former graduate student advisor, Professor Turner. He is abroad now and it is morning. The call is connected. Teacher, do you still need help with your overseas projects? Professor Turner was stunned for a moment, then said in a pleasant tone, Have you thought about it? If it were you, you would need it at any time. When I graduated from graduate school, Professor Turner wanted me to go abroad with him to participate in a project. That was a very unique opportunity for me. But for Jason, I chose to stay. Over the years, Professor Turner has never given up lobbying me, but I rejected them all. In fact, I really want to go. Now I can finally have nothing to worry about. I don't regret my original choice. At that time, Victoria wanted to pursue love. Now Victoria has decided to fulfill her dream. These are all decisions I made following my heart. 5. Finally, Professor Turner and I agreed to go there in about a month. When I got home, I took out the wine from the wine cabinet and started pouring it into my mouth one glass after another. In 1 month, I can leave for good. My best friend Evelyn sent me a WeChat message. How about it? A candlelight dinner is romantic, right? I told you Jason loves you so much. If you try to please him a little, you will definitely win him over. Everyone says Jason loves me, and I used to think so too. It turns out that if a man wants to pretend to be in love, he can fool everyone. I looked up and saw the ring on my ring finger and smiled to myself. This is what Jason bought for me after running takeout for 3 months. At that time, he and his friends had just started a business and invested all their money in the new company. In order to buy me a decent ring, he worked in a company during the day and worked part-time as a delivery man at night. I sleep less than 3 hours a day. One time I was so sleepy that I dozed off while driving an electric bike, and both I and the bike fell onto the road. Fortunately, a passing car braked in time, otherwise the consequences would be disastrous. When I rushed to the hospital, his hands and feet were covered in blood, and his clothes were stained red. Seeing me coming, Jason immediately hid his injured hand behind his back. With red eyes, I asked him why he did this. He clumsily wiped away my tears. Silly girl, of course I want to marry you home as soon as possible. What if such a beautiful girl is snatched away from me? She's already mine, so I can't bear to let her go. Later, we made a lot of money and the economy improved. But I always wear this ring. Jason said he wanted to buy me a bigger diamond ring, but I refused. It is more precious to me than any diamond ring. Thinking of how nervous Jason was when he proposed to me, I took off my ring and put it on the dining table. The words spoken at that time are still ringing in my ears. But people are no longer the same as they were back then. I don't need this ring anymore. 6. In the middle of the night, Jason sent a message. Wife, the company has some troubles. I may not be able to go back today. You don't have to wait for me. Have a good rest. Yifeng and I are together. It seems that he has already communicated with Ryan. The two of them are really good brothers. I didn't reply. Because I drank too much, I fell asleep directly on the sofa. In the dream, I saw Jason for the first time. He and I were both freshmen at the time. During the military training, the first thing Jason said when he saw me was, "Classmate, you are so beautiful." What an old-fashioned pickup line. Because of this sentence, he was ridiculed by his roommates for a whole year. Later, he often chatted with me on WeChat. Although we are not in the same major, I always run into him on the road. There were a lot of people pursuing me in college, but I didn't have any feelings for any of them at first. But I was gradually moved by his sincerity and enthusiasm. After we got together, Jason took even better care of me. Everyone around me envies me for having such a caring boyfriend. We studied together from undergraduate to graduate school. After I graduated from graduate school, Jason proposed to me. I agreed without hesitation. Jason hugged me tightly, his eyes red with joy, and choked up. Victoria, believe me. I will definitely give you a good life and will never let you lose. Now, I have been defeated miserably, but I can only accept defeat. 7. The next day, I was woken up by the fixed alarm on my mobile phone, and a large area of the pillow was wet with my tears. Jason didn't come back all night. I told myself in my heart that this was the last time I cried for him. Then I got up and went to the bathroom to wash up and get ready to go to work. Although I have decided to resign, I have an outpatient clinic today and a medical report to write, so I can't take a leave. This is the adult world. No matter how sad you are, you can't forget about work. Before going to work, I called a lawyer friend of mine and consulted him about divorce-related matters. No bloody entanglements or complaints. There is no need for some infatuated second male lead to suddenly appear and redeem me and slap Jason in the face. Jason has never been the only one in my life. I have my own way. Divorce is the only outcome I can imagine for the two of us. I submitted my resignation report in the morning and went to work. There was too much work and the busy feeling made me forget about Jason temporarily. But I didn't expect that before I went to find Jason. He came to the hospital on his own initiative. At that time, I was about to take the information to the ward to find the patient's family, but I saw a familiar figure not far away. It was Jason, and he was still holding Samantha's hand, whose face was covered with tears. The two of them ran to the cardiovascular department anxiously. That was the ward I was heading to. It turned out that Samantha's mother was sick. Seeing her mother's haggard face, Samantha cried so hard that she couldn't stand up beside the bed. Jason patted her gently and comforted her softly. Samantha's mother said that she had no regrets in her life, and she was only worried that if she passed away, her daughter would be left alone in the world to suffer with no one to take care of her. I couldn't help but raise an eyebrow, because the patient I was looking for was Samantha's mother. In my impression, her illness is not that serious. After hearing this, Samantha immediately told her mother that she had a boyfriend and asked her not to worry. When Samantha's mother asked who it was, Samantha turned to Jason for help. Jason then put his arm around Samantha's waist, looking natural. "Auntie, I am Samantha's boyfriend. Don't worry and recover. I will take care of Samantha for you." After saying this, he looked at Samantha lovingly. Samantha's mother still didn't believe it and insisted that the two kiss in front of her before she would treat the disease properly. This time, Jason looked troubled and couldn't help but look around. Samantha tugged at his shirt hem with her hands, her face pleading. Jason finally couldn't refuse and bent down to kiss her. 8. I walked into the ward with an expressionless face and took photos with my mobile phone as well. Since you have decided to divorce, it would be good to have more evidence on your phone. Jason opened his eyes and saw me, and pushed Samantha away. His face was pale, and his eyes were filled with unprecedented anxiety and fear. "Victoria!" Samantha's face, which was originally somewhat resentful, changed when she heard my name. Looked at me in horror. They were all afraid that I would make a fool of myself in public. I just said calmly, "Family members of Bed 03, please come over and sign the documents." After saying that, he turned and left the ward. Jason and Samantha followed closely behind. I took the information and gave it to Samantha to fill out. "Your mother just has a blocked heart. She will have a stent implanted tomorrow. Normally she can be discharged from the hospital 3 days after the operation." I told her that yesterday. Hearing this, Samantha's hand holding the pin trembled and she glanced at Jason guiltily. Jason pursed his lips. "Why are you in this hospital? I transferred here a year ago." Jason's throat choked and he couldn't say anything else. It's been more than a year since the wife changed her job, but the husband still doesn't know. This shows how little he cares. Samantha handed me the written information, and when I saw the address on it, I paused. Because the address she filled in was the first house Jason and I lived in when we lived together. Jason bought it at the time and put my name on it. He told me, "This is where all our beautiful memories are. From now on, you will be the only owner of this house. No woman is allowed to come in unless you agree." Jason seemed to have noticed it as well, and was about to explain, but Samantha beat him to it. Sister Victoria, I'm sorry, my landlord wanted to sell the house and kicked me out. Jason couldn't bear to see me homeless, so he gave me the key to the house. Don't blame Jason, blame me. I looked up at Samantha's touching eyes. It's true that youth can easily make people feel distressed. How long have you been living here? Samantha was stunned, as if she didn't expect me to be so calm. 2 months. Very good. Miss Samantha should also know that this house is registered in my name alone. The rent is $8,000 per month according to the current market price. Please call me in the next 2 days. Also, I'm planning to sell my house in a few days, so please move out as soon as possible. 9. Samantha looked at Jason aggrievedly, but found that Jason was just staring at me. Of course, if Miss Samantha doesn't have money, she can find someone else to give it to me. As long as I get the money, I don't care where it comes from. Jason frowned and gritted his teeth. Victoria, is this fun for you? It's really meaningless, so when you have time, we can talk about divorce. When she heard about the divorce, I clearly saw the joy on Samantha's face. Jason's face darkened. Do you have to do this? I was just doing a favor and kissed you, but you're making a big deal out of it. Really? Then can I just kiss other men casually just to help? You dare. Haha, double standard, dog. I sneered. It seems that Mr. Ross didn't have a good time in the hotel last night. It doesn't matter. I will move out today and you can go home and play. Jason was stunned, his voice a little hoarse. You know everything? I didn't answer. I'll have my lawyer draft the divorce agreement and give it to you as soon as possible. I was about to leave when Jason suddenly grabbed my hand. Only then did he realize that I was not wearing a wedding ring. Victoria, are you serious? I pulled my hand away and left, not intending to argue with him in the hospital. There is nothing else we can say now except divorce. Jason's exasperated voice came from behind him. Victoria, don't regret it. I won't put myself in a difficult position to beg you this time. You are not in Mrs. Ross's seat. There are many people who want to sit there. It turns out that when people are extremely speechless, they really want to laugh. It was obviously him who cheated, but he could question me so confidently. I really don't know where he got the confidence from. 10. In the evening, my good colleagues held a farewell party for me at KTV. When everyone heard that I was leaving, they were reluctant to let me go. But knowing that I have better development, they are all really happy for me. When I came back from the bathroom, I saw Jason, who was in the next booth with some friends. Listening to the conversation, it seemed to be talking about me. Brother Jason, is your sister-in-law really going to divorce you this time? If you ask me, it's all because of being spoiled. My wife used to make trouble, but now she's obedient, isn't she? That's why women can't be spoiled. If it were me, I would leave her alone. If she wants a divorce, she can go along with it. There is still a 30-day cooling-off period. Once she knows we don't need her, she will naturally get scared. Can you be like Brother Jason? Brother Jason is a well-known man who dotes on his wife. I know all these men's wives. Either they play with their own children, or they use their husband's money to secretly support mistresses outside. Or it's for the sake of the children, treating the husband as a long-term meal ticket. If you occupy the position of the queen, you can fight for the best interests of your children. None of the girls nowadays are stupid. It is impossible for them to give everything for a scumbag in vain. Jason had been drinking with a gloomy face. When others were secretly observing his expression, he suddenly said, After so many years, it's time to teach her a lesson. After hearing Jason's words, the atmosphere in the box became lively again. Sister-in-law? Why are you here? Are you here to look for Brother Jason? Come in quickly, Brother Jason is in here too. Before I could react, Jason's brother pushed me into the box. 11. When Jason saw me, his brows relaxed instantly, and the hand holding the wine glass slowly relaxed. But he still had a stern face and didn't look at me. It was then that I realized that all the other men had 1 or 2 female companions to drink with, but Jason didn't. Ryan immediately clarified. Sister-in-law, don't get me wrong. These female companions are all ours and have nothing to do with Brother Jason. Sister-in-law, please take a seat. Who else would dare to sit next to Jason except you? I don't know when Jason had moved the coat next to him away, leaving a seat for me to sit down. Ryan also started to clear the area and called his female companion out. I hurriedly stopped him. No, I'm here with my colleagues and I want to go back. Besides, Jason and I are getting divorced. These things have nothing to do with me. Jason interrupted me before I could finish my sentence. He seemed to not want to hear the word divorce. Victoria, have you had enough fun? There should be a limit to joking. I looked straight at Jason. I'm not kidding, do you remember what I said the first time you got drunk in a KTV? I'm serious. Jason's face changed when he heard this, and he obviously remembered it too. Jason was drunk at the time and mistook another girl for me and almost kissed her. Fortunately, I arrived in time. At that time I told Jason, "If you are dirty, I don't want you anymore." As I reached the door, I heard the sound of a cup breaking behind me. It was Jason who smashed the wine glass in his hand. Victoria, you want a divorce, right? I'll help you. See you at the Civil Affairs Bureau tomorrow. Good. This is exactly what I wanted. 12. After the party in the evening, I went back to Jason's house to pack my things. I had asked Evelyn to help me rent a house near her home. I won't be staying here for long anyway. When I was leaving with my suitcase, I happened to see Samantha coming back with the drunk Jason. When their eyes met, Samantha had a smug look on her face. She laid Jason on the couch. Just as I was about to stand up, Jason hugged me in his arms. "Wife, I feel so bad, hug me." The more Samantha struggled, the tighter Jason held her. "Honey, don't leave me." Samantha glanced at me and blushed. "Mr. Ross, please let me go first. Don't do this. There are others around." I had no interest in watching them flirt anymore, so I took my suitcase and left. The next day, I took the divorce agreement drafted by my lawyer and filed for divorce with Jason. The property was divided equally and the whole process went smoothly. When he came out, Jason said, "Victoria, are you frustrated right now? Do you think I will beg you humbly like before? People's patience is limited. I hope you know that I will not indulge your unreasonable behavior every time." I didn't answer. I looked at the divorce agreement in my hand and curled the corners of my mouth slightly. In another 30 days, I will have nothing to do with Jason at all. Jason frowned. "I will find another place for Samantha to live in the next 2 days. I'll have my assistant call you about her rent." I nodded. "Okay, I've packed up your stuff, you can throw away the rest. Don't forget to come back in 30 days. I turned around and prepared to leave. Jason suddenly spoke. "It wasn't me who asked Samantha to pick me up yesterday. I was drunk and she was on the phone. The waiter heard it and called her over." "Jason, you don't have to explain so much to me. This is your private matter." Jason's expression turned even uglier. The next day, I boarded a plane to Shanghai. Professor Turner had a 5-day academic forum in Shanghai, but he didn't have time to go, so he asked me to attend on his behalf. I just wanted to go out and relax, so I agreed. During these 5 days, I learned a lot and met many leading figures in the industry. I lived a very fulfilling life and never thought of Jason once. See, love is not that important to a person. There are many more meaningful things in life waiting for me to do. The next day after I came back, I went to work at the hospital. I just got off work and saw Jason standing not far away. He was leaning against a black Maybach with a cigarette in his hand. His clothes were disheveled and his face looked haggard. A male colleague who was leaving get off work with me leaned over to whisper in my ear, "This guy has been waiting here for days. I heard he asked the security guard about you and found out that you didn't go to work, so he waited outside every day." After saying that, he looked at me worriedly and asked if I needed help. I shook my head to indicate no, and just as I said goodbye to him, I saw Jason walking towards me. When I got closer, I found that his eyes were bloodshot, and it was obvious that he hadn't slept for many days. There was still a lot of stubble on his face, which was almost impossible for him as he used to have a mild obsession with mysophobia. "Dr. Victoria is amazing. You found your next target so quickly? I just don't know how people would react when they find out that you have an ex-husband who you've been with for 10 years. Jason, maybe 10 years seems like a long time to you, but to me, 10 years is nothing." Jason was a little frustrated when he didn't get the result he wanted. "Victoria, do you think that during these few days of disappearance, you can see me worrying and going crazy for you? I'm sorry to disappoint you. I haven't called you once in the past few days. You can ask your friends. I didn't even ask them where you went. So what are you doing here now?" 14. Jason was stumped by my question and seemed to have no idea why he came here. After a long while, he said, You changed the key to that house so I can't get in. Jason was talking about the house where Samantha used to live. It seems that Jason has been there in the past few days. I nodded. Yes, that's my house. I'm going to sell it. I changed the locks to prevent unrelated people from entering. Jason couldn't believe it. Are you really going to sell it? Are you willing to do so? Why would you be reluctant to give it up? There's no point in keeping it. The agent will bring someone to see the house in a few days. If you still have something to take, you can go over then. When Jason heard me say it was useless, his eyes turned red instantly and there was a flash of hurt in his eyes. Whenever Jason and I had a fight in the past, as long as he showed this expression, I would lose all my anger and run to comfort him with a smile. But now things have changed. He is not the Jason who will give everything for me, and I am not the Victoria who believes in him wholeheartedly. His tears can be shed for me or for other women. I raised my foot to leave, but Jason didn't seem to want me to leave like that and said hurriedly, "There's one more thing. I'm not available to get the divorce certificate later, so we have to reschedule." Finally seeing an expression other than indifference on my face, Jason smiled with satisfaction. Jason, don't joke like that. No matter what happens, you must show up at the Civil Affairs Bureau. I don't have that much time to waste with you. After all, I had promised Professor Turner that I would go abroad after getting the divorce certificate in a month. I don't want us to end up with a lawsuit. Jason's smile froze. Do you really want a divorce? Isn't this what you thought? This way he can be with Samantha openly. Jason didn't deny it. We'll talk about it when the time comes. I'm not sure about my time anyway. Satisfied with my angry expression, Jason drove away. 15. When I got home, I went to Evelyn's house with 2 bottles of wine. Jason is an asshole. Evelyn put down her glass heavily and angrily scolded Jason. If you knew he was such a person, I shouldn't have helped him when he proposed to you. I continued to pour wine into their glasses, smiling and shaking my head. Who can predict what will happen in the future? No matter how passionate the love is at the beginning, in the end it all depends on conscience. I am just glad that I discovered it not too late and everything is still in time. I heard that during the 5 days you were gone, Jason didn't even return to the office. He left everything to Ryan. He squatted outside the hospital every day waiting for you. You disappeared for 5 days and that's it. If you really went abroad, wouldn't he go crazy? Evelyn's tone contained a hint of gloating. But I don't care at all how Jason will deal with my leaving. Right now, all I can think about is how to help Professor Turner with his experiments after I go abroad. And I'm worried that Jason will stand me up on the day of getting the marriage certificate. The rest is not within my consideration. Evelyn picked up her glass and clinked it with mine. Okay, our sister Victoria is a career-oriented person. I love her. The next day after waking up from drunkenness, I received a call from the agent. He told me that the house had found a buyer, who paid the full amount without bargaining a penny. I was very happy. Finally there was good news. I asked the agent to help me with the transfer procedures as soon as possible. In the following days, I was busy with the handover of the hospital and the arrangements for going abroad. Jason calls me occasionally. They were all boring questions like where the clothes and ties were placed. After so many times I just stopped answering. If I didn't have to get a divorce certificate, I would block him immediately. Later, Ryan came to me and told me that Samantha had been fired by Jason. He also said that Jason has been in a bad state recently. He got drunk yesterday and even got into a fight with others. I really didn't have a good impression of him as a brother, so I just said indifferently, "If you are injured, go to the hospital." It's no use telling me. I understood what he meant. He just wanted to plead for Jason. But it was never about Samantha. Being a mistress is shameful, but she is not worthy of sympathy even if she is despised by everyone. But the cheating man is the real source of evil. Even if there is no mistress, there will still be mistresses 4 and 5. Once a man gets addicted to sex, it's not easy to give it up. But I have no interest in being a shrew. 16. In a blink of an eye, it was the day before the divorce certificate. I was packing my luggage at home, wondering whether I should call Jason to remind him. Unexpectedly, Jason came to me while I was still struggling with my decision. He looked at me with a murderous look on his face. "Were you the one who sent the pictures of me cheating on my dad?" I was completely confused. "What? You're still pretending? If you hadn't told my dad about my affair, would he have had a heart attack at home? If Samantha hadn't discovered it in time, the consequences would have been disastrous. Only then did I understand what Jason was saying, and my face darkened. I did consider asking Jason's father to help me persuade him, but because Jason's father has a heart disease, I was afraid of upsetting him, so I quickly gave up the idea. Jason, if you have no brains, you can go to the hospital. I'm a cardiologist. Do you think I would joke about my patients' lives? As soon as he finished speaking, Jason's fist hit the wall behind me. With a painful look in his eyes, he said, "Victoria, you have disappointed me so much this time. I never thought you were this kind of person. You just want a divorce, don't you? I'll grant your wish. I'll be there on time tomorrow." As I watched Jason walk away, I no longer had the mood to explain more because he wouldn't listen to anything I said. That's fine. He doesn't believe me and there's no point in saying anything. At least this incident made him willing to go to the Civil Affairs Bureau to get a divorce certificate, which is a good thing for me. 17. When I came out of the Civil Affairs Bureau, I felt an unprecedented sense of relief. It was as if the huge rock that had been weighing on my heart had finally disappeared. Jason, on the other hand, had a frown on his face the whole time. He opened his mouth to say something but was interrupted by the ringing of his cell phone. Samantha's anxious voice came from the other end of the phone. It seems that something happened with Jason's father. Jason hung up the phone and left quickly. Before getting in the car, she looked up at me with a complicated expression. "Victoria, you should reflect on yourself recently. I will talk to you about our affairs later. The divorce certificate is already in hand, what else is there to talk about?" Looking at the direction Jason's car was leaving, I slowly said, "Jason, goodbye." 18. In the afternoon, I packed my things and boarded a plane to Germany. In Jason's eyes, I seemed to be in a bad mood all the time. He never understood me. Once I make a decision, I never look back. The first thing I did after landing in Germany was to change my mobile phone card. Except for my parents and a few close friends, I have lost contact with almost everyone in China. Dedicated himself to Professor Turner's experiment. Today, 2 years later, my team and I are preparing to return to China with our latest research results. Before returning home, I talked to Evelyn on the phone. "Actually, there is one thing I have never told you. Jason came to see me half a year after you left." I responded nonchalantly. "So, this bastard knelt down in front of me in the company lobby just to find out your whereabouts." I was so scared that I immediately called the police and had them take him away. I raised my eyebrows. Is it so crazy? Now when I hear about Jason's affairs again, I feel very calm, as if I am listening to the gossip of a stranger. Yeah, I felt crazy too. Now I know I regret it. What did I do earlier, you cheating scumbag? I won't talk about him, but I'm quite surprised that you haven't contacted me in all these years. Don't people say that the best way to forget a relationship is to get into a new one? I laughed. You can't rely on others for this kind of thing. You can only rely on yourself. The most profound lesson that Jason's story taught me is that a man's sincerity is the most unreliable thing. In reality, no one can save or heal your pain. I have to get back the ground I lost by myself. If you really choose to be with someone just to forget someone, it will be unfair to the person who comes later. 19. I knew I would have to see Jason when I got back. I didn't intend to avoid him. I just didn't expect to meet Jason at the first industry cocktail party I attended after returning to China. At this time, Jason was standing not far away, looking at me with bloodshot eyes, as if he was about to cry in the next second. I was about to ignore him, but he grabbed my wrist and led me outside. When we got to the garden, Jason held me in his arms and said, "I'm sorry," countless times. I kept pushing him away. Finally, I couldn't help it and poured the red wine in my hand directly onto his face. "Are you awake? If not, I don't mind having the police drag you away." Jason wiped the wine off his face with his hands. He looked much more sober, but his expression was even more decadent. "I know everything Samantha did, including her texting you and my dad. I've kicked her out of town and she'll never be in our lives again. Victoria, I'm sorry for what happened to you before. I'm really sorry." I chuckled. "These things are no longer important to me. Because I don't love you, it doesn't matter." Jason looked at me with tears in his eyes. Victoria, can you come back to me? I have never missed you in all these years. I have always loved you. I looked at him coldly. Jason, don't forget we are divorced. No, I don't really want to divorce you. I just want to scare you. In my heart, you will always be my wife. After saying that, Jason took out the necklace from his neck. It turned out to be the wedding ring I had placed on the dining table 2 years ago. It was then that I realized that Jason was also wearing our wedding ring on his ring finger. To be honest, it's quite disgusting. Jason, we ended 2 years ago. I hope you won't continue to pester me and make me look down on you. 20. My words had no effect on Jason. Ever since he knew my whereabouts, he has often appeared in my life, under the pretext of chasing me again. I was able to pursue you in college and I can still pursue you now. Victoria, I will never let you go this time. I was furious. Do you think I would fall into the same trap twice? It was my first time jumping, and I can say that I was quite inexperienced. I would be stupid to fall into the same trap a second time. But no matter how harshly I spoke to him, Jason refused to give up. There is no way. I can only treat him as a transparent person and concentrate on completing my own work. After all, we only have a few months back home this time, and we are very busy every day. A few days later, Professor Turner went to the hospital to perform surgery on a heart patient. The patient's family took a long time to make an appointment before they could invite Professor Turner. And the case was very special, so Professor Turner asked me to participate as an assistant. After 7 hours from day to night, the operation was finally successfully completed. After coming out, Professor Turner just said a few words to the patient's family. There was a sudden panic ahead. I heard that a family member was dissatisfied with the hospital's treatment and was holding a knife ready to retaliate. As we were preparing to evacuate, we saw family members rushing towards us with knives in their hands. I pushed Professor Turner away and prepared to give him a flying kick. Suddenly a figure hugged me tightly. It's Jason. I can't break free. The next second, the knife stabbed straight into Jason's back. 21. It was already noon the next day when Jason woke up. He saw me sitting next to him and tried to give a comforting smile. Victoria, don't worry, I'm fine, I said in a cold voice. Jason, are you a fool? If it weren't for you, I could have kicked that lunatic away with one kick. I have been abroad for the past 2 years, and apart from doing experiments, I have spent all my time learning Sanda. On the one hand, it is for physical exercise. On the other hand, it is also because foreign countries are not as safe as domestic ones, so this helps to protect yourself. Judging from the physique of the man yesterday, he was no match for me. If it wasn't for Jason, I would have subdued him long ago. After hearing what I said, Jason looked lonely again. I'm just worried that you might get hurt. No need. Don't even think about using your injury to ask me to give you another chance. From the moment you called me disgusting, there's no chance for us anymore. So, if I told you right now that Samantha and I had never had sex, you wouldn't believe it, right? Jason laughed at himself. I didn't ask her. I stopped at the last minute in the hotel. I couldn't go on because I thought of you. It's funny when you think about it. I didn't explain to you at the beginning just because I was angry. I wanted you to bow your head once, even if it's just to say something nice to me, but you never did. Jason took out the key from his wallet and said, I actually bought the house you sold 2 years ago. I couldn't bear to see it sold to someone else. I have lived there for the past 2 years. It is filled with all our wonderful memories. Every time I see it, I think of you as if you have never left. As Jason spoke, he couldn't help but shed tears. This kind of self-touching drama makes me want to laugh. Jason, you are indeed quite ridiculous. You don't think that cheating only happens when you have physical intercourse, do you? I saw your hugs and kisses with my own eyes. You said you thought of me at the last moment. I don't feel touched. I just feel sick and want to vomit. After saying that, I stood up to leave, but Jason grabbed my sleeve. His choked voice came. Is there really no chance for us? I shook him off coldly. Jason, let's part ways amicably. Don't make me regret falling in love with you. I left the ward without looking back. Behind him was the sound of a man crying, unable to hold back any longer. 22. In the following days, I didn't go to the hospital to see Jason. He had so many people around him and he didn't need my care. Soon I went abroad again. On the plane, Professor Turner talked about the future plans. Several young people had sad faces and complained that they had aged 10 years in a year, and their hair was almost falling out. He was severely taught a lesson by Professor Turner. I laughed along. Turn your head and look at the scenery in the distance. In the future, I will no longer be trapped by the limitations of the present. What I yearn for is a freer and broader sky.